From the heartland of America and the gateway to the West, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm George Norrie. Welcome to Coast AM. Split show for you tonight. Later on, the internet and privacy issues. But wait till you see what's coming up next. The wrecked Fukushima nuclear plant in Japan may have released now more than twice the amount of radiation estimated by the Japanese government, according to a study of European and U.S.-based scientists. The amount is about 42% of that released at Chernobyl, which happened back in 1986, and that was the worst civil atomic disaster in history, according to the study. The plant north of Tokyo may have also started releasing radioactive elements before the tsunami arrived, about 45 minutes after the magnitude 9 quake struck, and contradicting government assessments there. A group of scientists want to capture a near-Earth asteroid and bring it closer to Earth so we can use it as a platform for future space missions. Kind of risky. What happens if we bring it too close? But the robotic probe would grab an asteroid that is made mostly of nickel iron with simple magnets. It would grab a rocky asteroid with a harpoon or special claws, or a large spacecraft could fly near the object and change its gravity tractor, deflecting its trajectory, sending it closer to the planet. Astronomers are studying ways to do this. More than a month after the first Occupy Wall Street protest, the movement to highlight inequality and corporate influence on politics has spread across the country and around the world. But as the sit-in dragon goes on, tensions with local city officials are rising. In Oakland, California, there have been violent clashes there between police and demonstrators. A Iraqi soldier, U.S. soldier, who went to Iraq, was injured when a tear gas canister apparently hit him in the head. From Chicago to Los Angeles, there are standoffs all over the place. Dr. Robin Falkov is in New York, where she's witnessing some of this. Robin, how are things going your first day out there, and why did you go out there?
Oh, well, thank you for having me on to explain this to our audience, because this is way too important, George. We have over 2,300 occupied cities around the world, and it is the most amazing action of hope that I've seen ever, because people are standing together to support each other, to bring about change and holding governments accountable. And I have to describe a little bit to you of what I witnessed tonight. It was the first time I went down there. I wanted to be able to help out in any way possible, to talk with the medics, which I will be doing tomorrow. But what I observed, and I have pictures up on Facebook, and I've just been having some technical difficulties. I'll be getting them up on healthfreedomrights.com, hopefully tonight or tomorrow. It's a tent city in a tiny park. The park is only about a block square, and you have all of these plastic bags and tents covering the areas, and people are camping out there. They have the media station where I was at tonight. I will be interviewing one of their media people for my show tomorrow. I was trying to find out about having a setup there. They have the medic station, and when we were down by the medics, my colleague, Dr. Daniel Fink, who's here in New York City, he joined me down there and was going to introduce me to the medics, but they were having some problems because it seems there are a lot of health issues now with tuberculosis, respiratory infections, because these kids are putting their lives on the line, sleeping there. It's cold. It's raining.
It's going to get colder, Robin.
Oh, it was 30-something degrees when I was down there tonight, and it's just a challenge to care for them. But when somebody had to make an announcement, George, they're at one end, and they raised their voice up, and they were saying, okay, there's going to be a movement for the medics, and everybody echoes from one end of the block to the other. They all repeat what is being said so that everybody can hear it. There is such unity and such a good spirit there amongst each other. It's what you hope to see, for people to support each other and to have the change that we're so desperately looking for, the changes you talk about all the time, George, holding our government accountable, getting rid of the Fed, all of these things to get our world back, and for the United States, get us back to what our founding fathers wanted.
Well, Robin, you stay safe out there, and also all the protesters who are out there. Peaceful protesting is healthy, and let's hope it stays that way. But some clashes now are starting around the country. Tensions are really starting to get high now. Andy Rooney is reported to be in serious condition following complications from surgery. The retired CBS commentator, known for his cantankerous pieces at the end of nearly every 60 Minutes show, retired October 2nd at the age of 92. Rooney had added his perspective to the show for 34 seasons. He's one of a kind. Complications after surgery for Andy Rooney. We'll keep watching that situation. BlackBerry customers in the U.S. and Canada are suing Research in Motion over the recent global outage, which left millions without email, instant messaging, and net access. A Canadian lawsuit was brought on behalf of all BlackBerry owners in the country there and accuses RIM of breach of contract, a similar complaint filed in the United States. iRobot has become a reality after a British man became the world's first person to have a smartphone dock built into his prosthetic arm. Trevor Predell was born without a left arm. He can now call and text with ease using the Nokia C7 that's stuck in his fiberglass forearm. And by the way, in case you don't know it, there are a number of cultures out there that literally eat insects to survive. Now, the idea of eating insects is generally received with grimaces by Westerners, but globally speaking, chomping on bugs is on a par with devouring, let's say, lobsters or chicken wings, grasshoppers, cockroaches, creepy crawly things, just what you want for Halloween, right? They say it's high protein, and it's happening all around the planet, not here in the United States or Canada yet. Up next, Dr. Evelyn Pagllni, back on Coast to Coast AM. We'll be talking with her about some of her past predictions and what she sees in the future. That's next on Coast to Coast AM. Well, she's back. Parapsychologist Dr. Evelyn Pagllni, one of the leading authorities on the occult and the supernatural all over the world. Evelyn has been learning natural magic from her grandfather at the age of 4, is now psychic, a metaphysical teacher, lecturer, consultant, and she has set a precedent in the Texas court system on a child abuse case with ritual overtones and worked with law enforcement on missing persons and murder cases involving the occult and the supernatural. Here she is back on Coast to Coast, Dr. Evelyn Pagllni. You have been missed. How are you?
Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me back.
What's new with you?
Well, I've had to take care of some health issues, but here I am. I've got to learn how to slow down and say no, George.
Evelyn, you will never slow down and say no.
I'd also want to thank Tom Danheiser. He is really a treasure.
Yes, he sure is.
And I want to thank him personally for all he did for me.
Good for you. Okay, thank you. And he's listening, and he's nodding, and he's shy, and he's saying you don't have to say that, but
well,
that's
why I wanted to, because he really does deserve some kudos.
Yep, he sure does. Evelyn, we were looking at some of the past things that you've talked about on the show. Uncanny how a lot of these have come straight on, and many of them this year alone. It's kind of frightening. These were scary predictions, devastating floods, major earthquakes, severe droughts, all of these things we've had.
Yes, and unfortunately what I'm seeing, honey, is not anything any better.
No,
especially starting with the economy.
Okay.
You know, we're still in an economic crisis, and even though they're showing some signs of growth, it's not for the millions of the unemployed and underemployed. This recession has really become a depression for them. And the misery and the suffering and the disparity that I continue to see is becoming overwhelming. I do readings, honey, all over the world, and I'm getting like a trend. And the outlook is one of austerity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like becoming lean and mean will become the name of the game. And having a real tight money situation is going to be so prevalent with everyone. And they're going to find that their standard of living is going to drop. And they're going to find it more and more difficult to provide for their families.
Well, that's true. What lean and mean sometimes means to me, Evelyn, that there are going to be victims in that kind of a situation.
Well, that's what I'm picking up.
Yeah.
And my more concern now is for the senior citizens. And when I'm doing readings, honey, for especially those in the 55-year-old bracket and over, and especially, as I mentioned, the senior citizens, they have lost equity in their homes. They've lost their savings, their retirement accounts. And those who are out of a job are finding out that they're staying out of that job even longer than most others.
Yeah.
And those who are 65 and older who need to continue to work are finding that if they do get a job, it's for a lot less money. And so what I'm seeing, and this is what's concerning me, George, this winter and next winter, you're going to have senior citizens having to make a choice between putting food on the table or paying the heating bill.
That's a horrible choice to take.
It's going to get horror stories out there.
Well, they've got to eat, Evelyn, but, I've witnessed cases where people, if it's too hot, they can die. And obviously, if it's too cold, they'll freeze to death.
That's right.
Who's going to help them?
I don't know. I feel that we're going to have to watch our neighbors. We're going to have to check in on people, especially our senior citizens. We're going to have to start looking out for each other. And as far as the jobs, which everybody is talking about, when is the jobs going to turn around? When is there going to be a dent, in the jobless rate? Well, I don't see one. I don't see one until, I would have to say, the summer or the early fall of 2012, but we're not coming out of this. As far as mainstream is concerned, we're not coming out of this until like 2014.
Well, and unless, Evelyn, the factories start to get heated up again and they start producing, we're not going to get jobs back in this country. I mean, where can people work if things just stay the status quo? And
not only that, where are you going to get good-paying jobs?
That's
and
right.
Have we forgotten a couple of years ago, I warned us that we are in also an economic war with China. And nobody wanted to hear it at that time. Now they're listening, and in the decade to come, you're going to see how it's going to affect the job creation in this United States. It's going to have a very big effect.
Well, that's right. You said that there was a sinister Chinese plan afoot.
That's right.
For us, in that they plan to very slowly and methodically, literally, beat us at every point.
Yes. It is a sinister plan. And they sit back and they wait. They plan decades in advance. And this is an economic war.
Dr. Pagllni, I have always said that those who are working seem to be doing okay. The problem is there are a lot of people who aren't working.
That's right.
And so this divide gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Do you see that as a real potential problem?
Yes, that's why I said I don't see a dent in the jobless rate until 2014. But what are people supposed to do between now and then? Do you know how many more housing foreclosures and how many more bankruptcies are going to be? In the millions. And the housing market, you think it's going to get off of its feet with the glut that it has?
You can't. It's impossible.
It will be years before you are able. Now, you know what's so funny? There is also the other positive side of that housing part. If you have money or you have the money and credit and you buy from the bank because they're sitting on such a glut, there's where if you need a home,
you get a good deal.
You can get a good deal.
Absolutely. What's your take, Evelyn, on the Occupy Wall Street folks?
Oh, I love them. Do you remember a couple of years ago, or about a year ago, I told you I had a vision and I heard that song, The Stars and Stripes Forever?
Yes.
And I couldn't understand what it was, and you asked me, and I said, it's like people rising, coming to arms. Well, this is what this movement is. It's going to get bigger, and it's going to get better. It's just getting started. It is growing. And the next few months, you're going to see this movement become more defined, more organized, well on its way to becoming a political force and one to be reckoned with.
Let's hope, too, that the tensions,
yes,
some
of course,
of the problems,
the violence and the tension, and some factors that are going to try and infiltrate
That's right.
and act out so that negative connotations and attention is brought to that movement. But they're going to be found out.
Evelyn, let me tell you, you're uncanny. I said last week that one of my concerns for the Occupy Wall Street people is that they could get infiltrated by people who will do bad things to other people.
Yep.
So all of us would look at that and go, see, they're not nonviolent. Look what they're doing. And
you're right on target. Your
intuition
and gut feeling is right on, baby cakes.
And we know what the media will do. They'll run with it. They'll look at it. Yep. So we might as well let people, pay heed, warn. Evelyn, let's talk a little bit, too, about the weather. It's been so in flux lately.
Haven't we been getting 1-2 punches one after another?
It doesn't stop.
This is what we call part of the cleansing of Earth cycle. And this winter we are going to have an extremely bitter, sub-zero cold temperatures. I'll call it a deep freeze. And with that, naturally, are going to be coming a lot of power outages, so be prepared. And I also feel that record ice and snowfall is going to also be causing a lot of disaster. And to me, I feel airports, again, are going to have to be closed. Now, this is funny because I'm getting some hot spots, and they've been just taking off. As far as earthquakes are concerned, and here we go again. Here in California, both northern and southern, I'm picking up that there's going to be some earthquakes between the 5.8 to 6.3 range.
Wow.
And, this is not good.
No, those are pretty good size. Those
yes,
can cause a lot of damage and some death.
And now this is going to be way off the cuff, but I'm getting a rumbling. Not only in the Midwest, which I called before and people thought I was crazy and I was right, but South Carolina?
South Carolina?
South Carolina? Beside the Midwest, I'm picking up some kind of rumbling in South Carolina. I'm also worried about flooding. Again, a lot of flooding on the East Coast, a lot of flooding for Florida, a lot of flooding for the entire East Coast, honey.
What about an X-flare, Evelyn, from the sun? Something that would take down our power grid, that would put us in the
power outages. It's just that's not what I see the power outages. I see the panic. But I know there's ice. I know there's going to be some super storms. I know there's going to be a very, very active season of super hurricanes, super storms, super typhoons. That's where I'm seeing all this flooding and this wind damage. And again, I'm picking up the eastern coast.
Okay. Well, we'll monitor. But you see this happening sooner than later?
Yeah, within the next 12 to 15 months, and that's why I want people to be definitely prepared for an emergency. Because they may be without any help for more than a couple of days.
You're a parapsychologist. You understand the mindset of people. I've been noticing over the past year or so, people have been acting strange. Some of them whacked out, but almost as if there's this feeling of something big happening. Are you picking this up too?
Yes, and you're absolutely right. And if you ask people, they have an apprehensive feeling, a feeling of dread. They're waiting for the next shoe to drop or the next hammer to fall. They don't know where to put it. They don't know where to look for it. But they know they need to be prepared. Something that makes them feel uneasy and anxious. And it is also a negative energy that is rising. And that's why a lot of people, out of this disparity, out of this frustration, out of this energy that is changing, this vibratory rate within us and within the solar system that is changing. And as we get closer to 2012, you're going to see, honey, more crazies. That's why I was picking up, and I made a prediction like this some time ago when I did the Virginia Tech massacre.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have something similar to that, either in a high school or a college. Again, a shooting using explosives.
All right, Evelyn, stay with us. We're going to come back with Dr. Evelyn Pagllni as we will talk about the dark side of magic and some of the tools used in magic. I'm George Norrie. Her website linked up at coasttocoastam.com. Well, of course you're going to stay. We've got a full show for you tonight. Next hour, we're going to take some of your phone calls with Dr. Evelyn Pagllni. And when I come back with her, we're going to talk about tools used in magic, the dark side of magic. And there is, not from her, but it's out there. Trust me. Hey, by the way, got an email today from someone who said, George, I've been hearing you for the past month talking about the Coast Insiders Club. How do I join? Well, as I've said, all you have to do is go to coasttocoastam.com. Right at the top on the right-hand side, it says Coast Insider. You click that, and then you just fill out the information. It's about 23 cents a day, to be exact, to be a Coast Insider, which allows you special downloads and podcasting. And just part of the club, we do our regular chats twice a month, whether they're video chats or chats just with our computers. But it's a great time, and it's, if you like Coast to Coast, if you're part of the program, you're listening on your favorite radio station, being a Coast Insider is a great compliment to all of that. So just go to coasttocoastam.com. My goal, 2,000 new Coast Insiders a month. We started this in October. We're already over that, but I want this month finished, and then we'll move on to November. Anyway, we'll be back in a moment with more with Dr. Evelyn Pagllni on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast. I'm George Norrie with Dr. Evelyn Pagllni, her website, mysticalblend.com. Evelyn, have you made it to the Facebook side of technology yet?
I did 3 weeks ago. It is
excellent.
fast.
Excellent. All right, how do people find you on Facebook?
I'm under... isn't that terrible? I don't know how to tell you.
Is it? You must be your full name?
Yes, it's Dr. Evelyn Pagllni.
Okay, very good. The dark side of magic has always fascinated me. I've never gone there, but why would someone want to dabble with the dark side?
Well, I'd have to say the driving force behind black magic is the hunger for power, for control, to be able to wield the forces of the universe, to gain knowledge, to raise yourself, almost as the fallen angels tried to do, that which wants to be God or godlike.
Can't you do that without having to dabble with the dark side?
Well, you see, to succeed as a practitioner on the dark side, you must master good and evil. You must have the experience and bring it within yourself of all things. That means cruelty, misery, pain, pleasure, all of it you must master.
Are they out to hurt people, Evelyn, when they dabble on the dark?
Absolutely.
They are.
When you talk to them, though, they don't see themselves as the dark side. They don't see themselves practicing the black side. They think of themselves of high-minded. They certainly can justify their actions. I've certainly heard them. And even the most notorious, modern, brilliantly gifted witch and sorcerer, Aleister Crowley, had great contempt for what he called the black magician. And yet, if you study his rituals, they were packed, soaked with cruelty, with sex, with blood sacrifice. And so I wouldn't call that white magic.
Yet they think they're righteous, don't they?
Like I said, they justify their actions.
Yeah.
And you take a look at the old grimoires, like the Key of Solomon, that was given to him, the ring, in order to conjure or evoke 72 major demons.
72
yes,
demons?
And then there's a book out there called the Book of 500. And these two are spirits and demons that you are able to evoke or conjure, and to gain the knowledge that they have, which again makes you able to wield that power, to influence and to bring into the plane of existence that which you desire, to control others, to control the outcome of things or situations. It's very diabolical.
It sure is. If you somehow pull over 72 demons or 500 demons, how in the heck, Evelyn, do you get rid of them?
Well, first of all, you don't pull them all over at once. It will take you many, many years in order to call some of them just to gather that which you need to have in order to bring them into an existence or into the circle. There is fasting. Some will go to great lengths in order to conjure or to evoke a specific demon. And so you're not bringing in many, you're bringing in one, and at that you are taking an extremely dangerous chance with your life.
I would think so.
You better have a lot of protection around. You better not step out of the circle. There have been practitioners found with every bone in their body broken the next day.
I remember once you were telling us about different colored candles for different kinds of events. Want to go through that again, too?
Well, very quickly, there's a lot of people out there that are into natural magic and imitative and sympathetic magic. And in so doing, you're going to be using image dolls in the gender of the person that you are working on, whether it's yourself or another. And those candles or those colors are going to depict what you're trying to do. So if you are trying to, let's say, have peace, love, harmony in your life, you're going to use the color of pink. If you're going to want to stimulate the libido or love or sex, you're going to use the color of red. If you want to have growth, success, money, prosperity, better business, the color of green. If you're going to want to do spiritual work or healing or protection, the color of white. If you want to cause destruction or remove a negativity, then you're going to use the color of black. And if you want to ground or anchor someone or something, you're going to use the color of brown. And now there are some wonderful essential oils that have a wonderful vibration of either attraction or repellent that can be used on those image candles, as well as to consecrate that image candle in either your name, if you're working on yourself, or on the person that you are working the image candle for. And and by the way, since we're talking about essential oils,
okay,
I'm going to do this, and I know my staff is going to fall off the chair. From now to the 27th of November, 2011, every mystical blend order that is taken on the internet is going to receive a free bottle, a $15 bottle of my essential oil. That's my gift to the Coast to Coast audience.
Super. Thank you.
Yeah, I got to do something, and this is my way of giving back.
Well,
but the candles are in knobs. They are an image, and the knob candles would be used for binding down an action not wanted. That means, let's say you want to buy a car.
All right.
You need a car, but you have to make sure that that car is worrisome-free, mechanically sound, something you can afford, and it will not attract accidents. And so that's binding down the action not wanted.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Now you can bind down an action not wanted on a person's career, on their love life. And here in Hollywood, there's a lot of magic being performed, especially in the music and entertainment industry.
Huge.
Oh, yeah. That's why some contracts never get fulfilled. Movies don't get done. Stars are unavailable, okay, to make that particular screen audition. Yeah. There's an awful lot of magic, and they have the wherewithal and the money to hire the people to do it. And that's been very prevalent out here, George.
Evelyn, with these magical tools, the candles, the essential oils, do you meditate? Do you pray? How do you use it?
Well, first of all, you're going to take the image candle, the color and the gender of the project you're working on and the person. You're going to take a suitable oil. You're going to consecrate it in the first and last name of the individual. If you also know their heritage, their background, meaning their mother's and their maiden name, and if their fathers and grandfathers' surnames, use that. You're going to, if you can, establish a link after you have consecrated. You're going to establish a link, and there are two master links. One is imitative. That is to have a candle or a rag doll or something that looks like the individual or a picture of that individual attached to either the image candle or to the effigy. Next, what you're going to do is, after you have that, you can have like say, pubic hairs. You can put your own hair in. You can put the string or the thread of a cloth. Anything that has been worn close to the body has an essence of it, or anything of the person, meaning fingernail parings or hair. You can infuse that in the solar plexus or the central part of that candle. Now you have a sympathetic link, that which is in sympathy with the body. Now what you're going to do is light that candle, go into a meditative state, and you are going to emotionally, with intensity, with conviction, with intent, with direction, with imagination and concentration, you're going to visualize that which you want to happen to that person.
Hopefully something good, but you could still use it for something negative, right?
You can use nails and needles and pins.
Oh, my.
You can use wires. You know, just 3 weeks ago, I had a client call me who had fallen. Now, people fall all the time and they have accidents, and we both thought nothing of it. But after a couple of weeks, because she had no broken bones, I mean, she had a few bruises, but nothing major. She wasn't able to get up and stand on her legs very long, and she was constantly falling. The next time I talked to her, as I was talking to her, I saw in my mind an image of a woman dancing behind her and cackling, and I mean laughing, cackling. And when I described this person to my client, she started crying. This was her sister-in-law.
Jeez.
And she knew she was into magic. I drove over there, and I walked around her house, and I found an effigy with wires all around her legs in a very precarious position to keep her so that she would constantly fall.
What
you
did
have
you
no
do with
idea the extent, honey, that witchcraft and magic can be used for the dark side. That's why for years I have tried to level the playing field. I have tried to give the knowledge into power to those so that they can protect themselves, their family, and their friends, and to share this knowledge with others. For too long, this kind of knowledge was only passed around to the few, and they were seduced, and they use it against their fellow man.
Does this negative energy for curses ever come back on the person who is initiating it?
Well, two things I will say. First of all, a curse or a spell is only as strong as the practitioner.
Right.
Okay, that's number one. And with some of these practitioners, because they have made pacts with the dark side, and they have done so because they believe in reincarnation over and over again, they do not believe that they will pay. Now, for those who are not in that league, yes, there is always a payment.
Maybe
so
it comes back.
You will sow what you reap, and you will reap what you sow.
Does it come back fivefold, tenfold?
It can come back 5 or tenfold. It can come back this time and another time, especially if you've done a generational curse where you have affected many. You know, there are people out there, and I have come across this, George, that have the kind of power and kind of hatred that what they do, they want that person to suffer so bad that they don't attack them first. They attack everything and everyone they love, starting with their grandchildren, their children, their brothers, their sisters, their mothers, their fathers. They want them helpless and hopeless and in agony. as they destroy everything around them long before they come after them.
Are they testing themselves to see how good they can be?
No, they really hate them that much, and they want everything and everyone around them to pay. And they want you standing there watching it and doing nothing and can do nothing about it.
What entities out there, Evelyn, are assisting these people to do this kind of evil?
Oh, there are all kinds. You can call the forces in. You can call the elements in. See, magic is a double-edged sword. It is neutral. It is only in the hands of the wielder of the power and their intent, whether it becomes black or white. So if I want to destroy you, I'll call the element of fire.
If you had 1 million people who wanted peace, and they all got white candles, and they all meditated, and they all practiced, would they be, the 1 million, as powerful as one person who is very good at what they did?
Absolutely.
They do.
Yes, if you can concentrate and focus your attention like a laser beam, and you have a multitude to do it, you'd be surprised what could be accomplished. You could avert a lot of disaster. You can stall off or diminish that which is coming.
So the multitudes do influence.
Absolutely. Majorly.
That would be
especially when they're focused.
Well, Art and I used to do these mind experiments, not with candles or anything like that.
No, with the consciousness of man.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just
works.
wondering if we add a few ingredients to it,
yes.
like a little candle here and there, what we could do.
What it is just everyone at once. And remember to bind down the action not wanted. Meaning if you're going to ask for rain, you're going to ask for rain for a certain amount, for a certain length of time in a certain area, and you shut it off.
That you have to shut it off.
You just don't say, I want rain.
You'll get a monsoon.
Right. And that's what most people forget when they are doing ritual. They do not bind down the action not wanted.
I've made that mistake.
I want a lover, but I want them honest and sincere and trustworthy. You see? In other words, put in the attributes that you want and bind down that which you do not.
Reminds me of an old Twilight Zone where a guy found a genie in a bottle and out popped the genie, and he gave him his 3 wishes, but he warned him. The genie said to the guy, Evelyn, each wish will have a consequence. And the guy didn't even care about that, so he didn't do his bind down.
That's right.
He didn't care. He said, I want omnipotent power. So the genie turned him into Hitler. So, and so things like that.
Be careful what you ask for.
Exactly.
And what is also a ritual that is extremely dangerous, and that is necromancy.
Which is raising up the dead, right?
Yes, the art of controlling the spirits of the dead.
Why would someone want to raise the dead? And we don't mean trying to communicate with your loved ones who have passed on.
No.
This is different.
This kind of necromancy is not done for that. The astral corpse retains a faint spark of life and can be influenced and directed. And also, they want to live again, so they suck around energy. And that's what gives them and feeds their life force.
Are they the psychic vampires that we talk about?
They can be, yes. Now, there are some who will use necromancy as a divination tool because they are able, without boundaries, to be able to see the future. They also have the understanding and the way of communication with other spirits. They also can see and locate buried treasure, and to be used to attack another person, as well as to gain knowledge that is secret. But it is a very, very dangerous ritual because you are calling upon the dark forces, evil forces, and death. And sometimes they will attach themselves to the practitioner.
Even the name necromancy, Evelyn, sounds bizarre and weird, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And beside when we were talking about knots, there is also that knot magic that is very, very sinister.
Yeah, what is that?
Well, that is called the witch's ladder or the death knot.
The witch's ladder. Let's Let's wait till the top of the hour. Let's come back. Let's talk about that aspect here. It's called the Witch's Ladder. We're going to take phone calls, too. Here's a great opportunity for you to chat with and have a question for Dr. Evelyn Pagllni. Her website, mysticalblend.com, mysticalblend.com. And by the way, she is giving you as a little Christmas present a major essence of oil for free when you go to her website and put it in order. I'll be back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. And this hour, we'll take your phone calls with Evelyn Pagllni in just a moment on Coast to Coast AM. And welcome back to Coast. We're with Dr. Evelyn Pagllni. Evelyn, the Witch's Ladder, what is that?
Well, it's a very sinister tool called knots. And to tie a knot is magically to tie and impede the person who is the target of the spell. And it's usually used in love, especially with sex. It can be used with career and to impede a person from having a child. And then there's the death talisman. That's the Witch's Ladder. It's a string with 9 knots in it. This string is tied with such a fierce concentration, visualization, intent, and hatred against your enemy. And then it is placed somewhere close to that person. When they are tying the knots, if they can also find or use that which is in sympathy with the body, again, a strand from an undergarment or hairs or fingernail parings, and infuse that as they are tying the 9 knots, it is called the death knot for a reason.
Is it more powerful than just a straight curse?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very much so. I've seen practitioners use that as well as the image magic with the wax figure. They usually, though, with that or even with an effigy, want it to be close to their target. They've also used that which erodes or corrodes very easily, like an orange, a piece of meat, a banana. And as it erodes and corrodes, so does the person. That's when they are trying to attack them mentally as well as spiritually and physically.
Do you find that witchcraft is increasing, Evelyn, or is it dwindling?
No, it's definitely on the rise.
It is.
More and more people are realizing that they have a tool at their disposal, and if they use it correctly, can again influence as well as bring into the physical plane which they desire. They can change their lives. They can give themselves the edge. They can protect their family. And they can fight negativity being sent to them. It's very hard for people out there to believe or get their mind around the fact that there are people that have that kind of power and that kind of intent and will use it against them. I'm hoping that when you open up the phone lines that there will be people who have lived through and experienced spells and curses. Let them tell you the story. Not just hear it from me. Listen to the people out there.
And let's go to the phones, Evelyn. Questions for you as well. Nate, truck driving in Kansas. You're up with us east of the Rockies. Go ahead, Nate.
Hi, George. Hi, Evelyn.
Hi.
Long time listener. I got a question. My question is, how do you know when something's like a curse, when somebody's got something against you, like a curse? I'm married, and I know if my wife does Santeria, I think it's called.
Oh, yes.
Is that the same thing, or is that like it? Because we have to worry about, I guess, different relatives and problems she was telling me about with them.
Yes, sir. Very definitely, Nate. Any culture out there has magic. And again, magic is neutral. Only if I want to harm you, do I make it black. I can also send you a blessing. But if you are having difficulties, it can be from those who are using it negatively. And yes, you should learn how to protect yourself. I would suggest you go to mysticalblend.com and take a look under my ritual packages for psychic self-defense. You can find anything that's up there in any one of the local metaphysical stores.
Okay, great. Thanks, Evelyn. Shelley is in Tomball, Texas. Hi, Shelley. Go ahead.
Hi, George. Hi, Evelyn.
Hey. Hi.
Thank you for sharing your gift. I have a question. My husband lost his job a couple months ago, so we're in the whole thing of we're in that percentage of people with fear of losing your home and everything else, and we've tried to remain positive. But how do we separate the fear inside with good into, like, he's got good prospects. How do you like get rid of that bad fear and replace it with something good so that you can have good fortune, maybe, or good? How do you separate the two?
Well, first of all, it's an excellent question. And unfortunately, our mind is very difficult to erase the negativity, the feeling that it's helpless and hopeless and we don't deserve it or we can't get it. And so what you have to do is learn meditation. That is the foundation for you to be able to drop from the beta into the alpha brainwaves, to focus your attention and your intent and your emotion on the problem or the situation that you have at hand. And please use the color of green for growth and success and prosperity and better business. Also excellent for anything to do with court cases or legal.
Is that like affirmations? Like if you keep meditating and saying something over and over and over, you're teaching your subconscious to kind of pick up on that?
Not only that, it will bring into the physical that which you desire because it knows no boundaries.
Okay.
And
very
so
good
to me,
advice.
see it, visualize it, emotionalize it. In other words, if you do not have the need, if you do not have the intent, if you do not visualize it and put emotion behind it, then you're going to haphazardly. It's like working at half throttle.
You know, when you had talked about a killer heat wave this summer, Texas sure got hit with a bad one, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
My gosh. Ruben in Portage, Wisconsin. First-time caller. Thanks for calling, Ruben.
Oh, you bet, George. I appreciate all your work.
Thank you.
Evelyn, I'm curious as to why you feel the Occupy Wall Street movement is representative of your vision when it was the Tea Party that got tangible political results. It was organic and spontaneous, showing up at town hall meetings, confronting the leaders in person. These are the people that have played by the rules and done everything that was asked of them.
I just feel that this is going to become more defined and more organized and a political force. It's just in its infancy, and it's growing not only here in this nation but worldwide.
Evelyn, stock market jumped 339 points today, but I feel it's a false increase.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And people should still stay with precious metals. I have been touting it since 1998 on Coast to Coast. I've made people a lot of money. Silver is still the poor man's gold. It will go over $100, so for God's sake, please buy it. Commodities such as oil, corn, wheat, soybeans, sugar, rice, all those are going to become also extremely good investments.
Good point. Let's go to Muskoka, Canada. David, is that it?
Yeah, Muskoka, Canada. George, how are you this evening?
Good, David. Thank you.
Yes, I'm a Capricorn, and things have been, I don't know, just me in general, or for Capricorns in general, kind of bad. I was just curious if you can see any sign of Capricorns getting improvements in the near future.
Well, David, I'm not so much into astrology, but if you want things to improve, once again, do an attraction ritual for the situation, if it's going to be financial or if it's going to be attracting a mate or whatever it is. Do an attraction ritual. Call upon the forces and the elements. You can use not only the elements of earth, air, wind, and fire, but you can also use the energy of the moon. Now, if you want, the waxing of the moon is going to bring or attract positiveness and give you extra power. And also the waning moon you could use when you want to remove or get rid of something. The new moon or the full moon will also give you extra power. The herbs, the essential oils, the colors, the candles, and again, your meditation and concentration.
How long do you meditate and concentrate? When you, let's say you light the candle.
If you're doing a ritual, it's usually about a half an hour to 45 minutes. And And then you snuff out the candle and you resume it the next evening, and you do it every evening until the candle is burned. You don't worry how long it takes. Because, again, maybe the first or second time, you're not going to get the exact results you desire because you're new. You're a chela, a novice. But the more you do it, and the more you focus that intent and that concentration and that emotion, you're going to start seeing results very quickly, and that's what seduces you. That's what gives you the energy and the desire for more and to learn more, because you say, wait a minute, this is working. And you're going to find out there that because I have been on the show for 13 years, I've taught a lot of people out there, and they have had some great results in every arena there is. That's why I am so happy that I have been able to give out leverage.
Well, that's important, because let me tell you something. If you didn't try to balance the scales, how many people would be out there now dabbling on the dark side?
Well, my grandfather said, honey, it's easy to be good when you don't have the tools to do otherwise. Magic gives you the tools. Be in balance. It's your path. You walk it.
If somebody wants to concentrate on an individual who lives 5 miles away or 500 miles away, is there a difference?
Absolutely none. Distance does not matter. You can be 1,000 miles away, and if I want to affect you, I will. And you don't have to believe in it. But I will say one thing, 80% or at least 65% of witchcraft is suggestibility, so please watch who suggests things to you.
No, explain that.
Gee, you don't look good today. How you feeling? Oh, I've noticed that you've had an accident. Oh, I noticed that, you lost your purse or your father died, or all things are, well, they keep saying something's wrong. Are you cursed? You don't look good. Well, that person is doing it intently.
I see.
And as you start to question what is happening in your life, you start to assume and take it on. And so you have to watch, because a lot of practitioners, let's say suggestibility work for them. It's only the other 40% you really have to worry about. Because they'll never tell you they're coming.
They're planting the seed then, aren't they?
Yeah. The 60% are planting a seed. The 40% will never let you know they're coming.
Let's go to Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where we're going. Mary, take it away.
Hi, Evelyn.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. My question is, I know you said this before. Is it possible for someone who is mad, say, at you personally, to hurt your entire family and friends, even if they don't know? Well, you just said thousands of miles away, but if they don't know exactly where they are, but horrible things keep happening to them, which, of course, hurts
you.
Person. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely, yes, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
The person who really has great hatred, and that person must have, wants you to suffer, wants you to agonize as your loved ones and your friends are touched. I know, honey. I have stopped that many, many times. I told you I am a spiritual warrior. I fight evil. And that's what I look for. There's
Evelyn,
people who use the dark side the wrong way.
Have you ever had a case where the person goes directly to the person who's putting the curse on and begs them to stop?
No, I've gone directly to the person putting the curse on and told them, I'll show you what magic is really all about. See, I fight fire with fire. That's the way I was raised. You may call me the good witch, but when the time comes and the issue is right, watch me.
You don't want to be crossed, that's for sure.
No, don't cross me. Don't cross one of my clients. There are many of my clients out there, George, that when they are doing ritual, they call upon my energy and my power, and I have manifest. And you can ask them that.
That's interesting. Do you even have to know that they're doing this?
I prefer to know, but there are times all they must do is call upon me, and I am there.
You're there.
Yeah.
Hancock, Wisconsin. Mike, east of the Rockies. You're on with Evelyn Pagllni. Go ahead, Mike.
Hey, Semper Fi, brother. Marine Corps birthday coming up November 10th.
It sure is.
Hi, Evelyn.
Hi.
How you doing, hon?
I'm doing terrific.
That's great. Listen, the reason I'm calling, I want to talking about fallen angels, and I want to know a little bit more about the fallen angel Michael. And and what happened, and is he coming back again with Christ? Are we going to raise a little havoc here, or what?
Well, first of all, I didn't know the Archangel Michael fell.
I don't think he did.
Well,
I think you're talking about Lucifer.
Lucifer.
And they are always trying to gain the control of the soul of man.
Yeah.
And so, yes, they are always around.
Are we gonna see these things
always
coming here in the in the next 10 years or 5 years? Do you see that happening with Christ and
I've
dabbled with Satanism, and I've had and I've talked to this before, George. I got into Anton LaVey, and no, black is not good. It is not good. You don't dance with the devil.
No, you don't dance with the devil. I guess if you dance with the devil, Evelyn, you better be prepared, huh?
That is correct.
But no, you're right. Archangel Michael, he's not one of the fallen ones. He's still up there doing what he does. Next up, we go to Jerry, truck driving in St. Louis. Welcome to the program. Hey, Jerry, take it away.
Hey, George. I know about family curses. We've been finding out about a family curse that was against the family back in the 1800s. We've been trying to get a good witch to take care of this curse, but we can't find a good witch.
Evelyn's a good witch. What do you advise here, Evelyn?
Well, first of all, I would tell him to call 818-700-9345. Book a short appointment. Let me get into it, and I will tell him something to use extremely well, quickly. If that doesn't give enough relief, then we take out bigger guns.
What's been going on, Jerry? What's the curse? Can you tell us?
It's finances. Anytime we go into a good business deal, we lose everything. Our homes, our cars, everything. One of our great-grandfathers turned around and gave everything to a different family instead of to our family, and then the curse was put on top of our family for finances.
Who put the curse on the family? The uncle?
Actually, the family put the curse on the family.
After they got all the goods?
Yeah.
Ungrateful group they were?
Well, that can be handled, George.
Yeah, give that number out again, Evelyn. Thanks, Jerry.
My phone number is 818-700-9345.
All right, you got it. Let's go next to Chris in Toronto, Ontario. Yeah, we got time for a quick one here, Chris. Go ahead.
Hey, George. Evelyn, you're awesome. I love that you're fantastic. Just had to get that out of the way first. The question that I have for you, I'm actually a practitioner myself working out of a metaphysical supply store here in Toronto, Ontario. And I see a lot of people of different cultural bases, whether it be West Indian, but the ones that I seem to be having the most difficulty with, for lack of a better way to describe it, is my Portuguese clients. And they claim to be plagued by the workings in a book known as the Book of Saint Cyprian, or maybe Saint Ciprione. I may be pronouncing it wrong. I'm wondering if you've heard of this.
I've heard of the book, but what is going on with you?
Well, particularly as what I'm noticing is I'm giving them work to do to reverse the magic that has been done against them from this book. Like, that's the thing.
All right, and hold on, Chris. I'll come right back to you when we turn around here on Coast to Coast AM. Well, next hour, Lauren Weinstein joins us as we talk about the Internet and some privacy issues. If you're into the tech world, you're going to love the next couple hours. But when we come back with Dr. Evelyn Pagllni, we will take final phone calls with her right here on Coast to Coast AM. And we're with Dr. Evelyn Pagllni. We're going to go back to Chris in Toronto. Chris, let's pick back up. Go ahead.
Yeah, as I was mentioning, I'm a practitioner out here. I see clients. I do readings for people. This book, some of my clients are of the Portuguese persuasion, and one of them in particular had something done to her, and through research, she was able to determine that a spell, I guess for lack of a better word to describe it, was used from an relatively ancient book that a lot of the black practitioners from that region use, called the Book of Saint Cyprian. And as it stands at this point, I haven't been able to find much information on it, so I'm kind of wondering, Evelyn, if you have heard of this, if you've run into
I've
this.
heard of it, but I don't know its content. But what I will ask you, you said that you gave her something to do or use. What tools or things have you been giving her to do?
Interestingly enough, I had her actually do sort of a almost shamanic-based, not working exercise with the planet Saturn to cut some of the ties, some of the karmic ties to, in this instance, it was her family that has worked this against her, as a means of sort of almost like a rebirth sort of thing, so she could come out of this basically.
All right, but did you do any cleansing, removing the negativity that built up?
Tons and tons and tons.
Okay, well, as she was having the cleansing, was she getting re-empowerment? Did she notice that her energy, her power was coming back?
Yes, for brief periods of time, though. Like, essentially, she would notice a period of about 2 weeks to a month where things would totally be getting back on track, and then what would happen is she would fall into a little bit of the same old, same old.
Well, give me a call and let me see what other things you have given her. I may be able to give you some tools to assist you.
Okay, great. And Evelyn's number, 818-700-9345. How'd I do there, Evelyn?
Yes, thank you so much. You did it right.
Let's go to Richmond, Virginia. Josie, you are on with Evelyn Pagllni on Coast to Coast. Go ahead, Josie.
Evelyn, hi. You being a psychic warrior that you are and knows how to deal with these powers of good and evil, I thought you'd be perfect to answer this question. I was at the Freedom Expo here in Richmond several years ago, and there was a man there and I saw him do this with person after person, including me. I tried it too. And what you did, he had said something is going on with our money. And you look at the 10s, 20s, and $50 bills, you will see a portrait of Grant or Hamilton and Jackson. And next to the portrait, to the right, there is a symbol. It can be a torch, it can be a eagle, or one other thing. And when you pointed to this symbol, this is after the money changed. You know, we went to they changed the money several years ago from pinkish color, you know, to try to detract from people trying to do counterfeiting. And when you did the muscle testing, while a person would be pointing their finger right on that symbol, that arm would go right down. You know about kinesiology testing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this would go right down until you put three numbers over that symbol, 369 or any combination, but it's easiest to remember 369. Then the muscles would hold, the arm would go strong. So I'm wondering if you have any clue, and maybe Jordan Maxwell might be a good one for this too, whether it's possible that somebody is doing something on the money, somebody who hates our country, somebody who is perhaps doing radionics of some sort. Do you have any idea or any clue about any of this?
No, I don't, honey, but I certainly will look into it.
What if there was a hate group out there, Evelyn, that met on a regular basis and kept firing this negative energy at people or events or anything?
Or at a nation.
Could that work?
Yes, it can.
Topple them economically. Let's crush them from within. And
that's right.
Concentrate. Boom,
yes.
Boom.
Yes.
So how do you combat that? How do you fight that back?
By putting a shield of protection around the nation, and then by destroying or diminishing the influence that they have. Also by putting up what we call a mirror effect. So that which is being sent is repelled back to them. And that usually will block them and stop them because already now they know that the mirror effect is there.
How many practitioners need to put a shield around a nation?
A few good, strong ones. I would say about 100.
I was going to say, how about one Evelyn Pagllni?
I would like it to have 99 others with me.
Temecula, California. Robert, it's your turn. Go ahead.
How you doing, Evelyn, George?
Good.
First-time caller, long-time listener. I had a question about Ouija boards.
Okay.
All right.
I dabbled with them about 22 years ago, and we bought the one at the store, and we made one by hand and read up on if you made things by hand as your cloak or something from nature and yourself and your soul, that it would be more powerful. And as I went to a friend's house and he was getting ready for an event, I asked a question to the Ouija board and put the quarter, because we didn't use the little marker, and it moved to yes. And I was done. I said, I'll be outside. I'm a little skeptic of this. Something happened, and my fingers weren't on the quarter. We handwritten. He did calligraphy on the Ouija board. We made it ourselves, and the quarter moved to yes when I asked the question, and I was done.
What was the question?
The Ouija board works. You are opening up a doorway, a portal to the other side. That's why I don't recommend people to play with the Ouija board, because you may open up the door and get more than you bargained for, and then you don't know how to get rid of it, or it can follow you home or attach itself to you. And so most people, when they are playing with the Ouija board, don't realize that they have to do a meditation and a protection before they ever start to open up that door. Please stay away from the Ouija board. Even though it is a tool, and there are many people who can use it proficiently, there are just too many horror stories. Leave it alone.
When the portals are open, who knows what's going to flood through, huh?
Like I said, you can get more than you bargained for, and how do you deal with it?
Let's go to Keith in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Keith.
Hi. Hey, George, God bless you, and Evelyn, you're awesome.
Thank
you're an
you,
awesome
Keith.
person, and I just wanted to say, I've had severe sleeplessness, severe insomnia for 26 years. And now I was in the church already, and somebody told me it was a evil spirit, and I believe it definitely is, because I've been going to doctors for years and they can't help me with the medication, and I believe it definitely is an evil spirit. And I was raised up in the church, but I do not see true Christianity to me as completely dying to yourself and helping and serving others, and I don't see too much true Christianity in the church. And I was just wondering if I could. Healing, do something so I could be healed of this insomnia and have a blessing, do a blessing.
Absolutely. You can do a cleansing, and that would be with a black image candle and cleansing oil, and then learn meditation, because you can release anxiety and pressure and tension from yourself, as well as revitalize and rejuvenate and heal and build up the immune system. Absolutely. Also, let me tell you something else to try.
Okay.
Get some protection oil. Draw a circle using your index finger with the protection oil about 7 or 8 inches on the headboard of your bed. If you don't have a headboard, put it on the wall behind your head. Now, when that circle is drawn with the protection oil, now draw a cross in the center of that circle with the protection oil. State out loud and firmly, there is no evil or negativity that can cross this threshold. So be it. It is done. Now nothing and no one will be able to get at you while you are asleep at night. Most practitioners, sir, open up their altar after midnight because they want to get at you when you are asleep. You can get into a person's psyche a lot quicker. So try that and watch that you will not only get a restful sleep, get into meditation, and rebuild and revitalize the body.
In the dream state, you are very, very vulnerable for attack, aren't you?
Absolutely. Psychic attack is done usually in the dream state. Psychic vampirism is done in the dream state. To play with your mind, to give you anxiety, pressure, and tension is done while you are asleep, because the altar is usually opened after midnight.
I've always wondered if nightmares are people attacking us in our dream state.
It can be, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They also will send familiars. They will create thought forms that will attack you, just as a person can create a thought form to protect them.
Let's go to Fontana, California. Sonia is with us on Coast to Coast. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, how are you?
I
can't believe I got through.
Yes, you did. Go ahead.
I've been a practitioner for a number of years. About 3 years ago, my ex-husband, we were going through a divorce, decided to start dating a practitioner. And then all of a sudden, my world got a little wonky. I started having nightmares. Things that should have been good started going bad. And I was trying at that point, I'm like, I know what this is. And since I could not definitely finger the person who was doing it, but I knew who was doing it, I just casted a mirror spell where everything that was coming towards me would reflect and go right back to whoever it was that was sending it to me.
Excellent.
And ironically, I laugh at this, the following day, his girlfriend lost her apartment, her car got repossessed, and she got transferred from her job.
Good for you, dear.
Yeah, I didn't use my own energy. That was the key. I didn't have to use my own energy. She was doing enough.
That's right. That's the mirror effect. Excellent.
Yeah.
Very proud of you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've learned over the years, I find it interesting because I know a few practitioners that practice curses and such. They get sick a lot. They get injured a lot. Karma's a bitch.
Yes, it can be. Unless, again, you have made a pact with the dark side, honey, because there are those who are never affected.
You know, Evelyn,
they have done blood sacrifices.
These summoning of demons, dangerous game. And as she was saying, people get sick, they get ill. What do these demons want? Do they want possession? Do they want to take over these people's bodies?
They want to walk the land again. That's why when you conjure or evoke a supernatural being, one that has never held human form, its desire is to walk the land. And that's why it will offer you anything. But as its boon, that's what it wants. And for some, it has been given, but they are, let's say, smart enough to put a length of time before it must return or be dissolved.
All right, next up, let's go to Ken in Billings, Montana. First-time caller. Ken, you're on with Evelyn Pagllni. Go ahead, Kenny.
Hi, Evelyn.
Hi.
George.
Hi.
I have a question on curses and how you can tell if you actually have one or if it, just random,
Because it ends.
Excuse me?
It will end. When you see your world falling apart or with one particular thing constantly repeats itself, then you have someone who is influencing it. If you're in a negative cycle, the cycle comes to an end, sir.
By itself?
Yeah.
Okay. It should.
But when somebody is reiterating, reinfusing, reinforcing that negativity towards you, it's going to go on and on. And then it will start affecting other areas of your life, whether it be relationships, career, finances, health, etc.
Next
Depends
up.
on what they're aiming for. Some people just want to break you. Others want you never to have love in your life or children or see success. I mean, it depends on what is in the mind of the practitioner and what they believe they can do justifiably to you.
Why are there so many evil people out there, Evelyn, that want all these bad things to happen to people?
That's control, power, greed, to subjugate other individuals, to intimidate other individuals.
And there are many out there.
Yes, in every walk of life. And the more money and the more power they have, the more they can either hire or direct others to do that work for them.
Let's go to David driving in Minnesota. Go ahead, David. Thanks.
Hello.
Hi, Dave.
Hi, George and Evelyn.
Yes,
Evelyn, I just wanted to let you know you got my mother's first name. She passed away when I was 13 years old, but not that many women have that name nowadays, so
yes, it is an old,
when I hear the name.
It's an old English name, even though I'm Italian.
One of the classics.
My comment is I've had some really unfortunate bad luck, myself and my family, in the last 3 years. I was personally accused of a crime that never occurred, incarcerated for 4.5 months before they realized
you weren't the one.
Maybe you'll take a polygraph test and pass, and I did. Financial stress from that occurrence because we lost our business, and looking at bankruptcy and personal stress. possibly even having to volunteer to go back overseas because of the financial burden if I have that opportunity. Just a whole slew, and then my children had suffered depression and started doing self-mutilation back in 2009. So I just wonder, when is this going to ever stop, you know?
Well, sir, again, sometimes you're in a negative cycle, and sometimes it is influenced by others. Either way, what you can do is a simple cleansing. And if you start to see that there's a relief, then you can go even further. So again, please go to my website, mysticalblend.com. Look at psychic self-defense, cleansing and protection, or luck is your companion. Either one of those rituals will definitely make a difference in your life, sir.
Why do the rituals work, Evelyn? What is it?
Well, because what you're doing is calling upon energies and forces and vibrations. And you are, again, using them, directing them in a positive manner to remove the negativity and to re-strengthen and to rebuild your vitality, and then to attract the good things that have been blocked and stopped.
Let's go to Ray in Sacramento. Let's squeeze you in real fast, Ray. Go ahead.
When dealing with generational curses, maybe even a double generational curse, and you've meditated, you've done the purification and the cleansing, what other resources might there be that you can suggest? Thank you, George, for your time, and thank you, Evelyn.
I don't know what cleansings you have done, and when you have done the cleansing, have you also named the family members that may have been the perpetrator of this?
So you need to do that, don't you?
You do, unless you specifically make an incantation where you are taking it off of all of the members of the family and sending it back to the sender. It's a specific ritual with an incantation that is written specifically for that action. But it can be done. It just has to be done very well.
Evelyn, I'm glad things are going well for you again. You're feeling much better, I trust?
Thank you so much, sir, for asking.
Absolutely. Dr. Evelyn Pagllni, let me give you some information here. First of all, if you want to talk to her, her phone number is 818, that's not toll-free, it's 818-700-9345. Her website is mysticalblend.com. It's linked up for you at coasttocoastam.com. Dr. Evelyn Pagllni is back on Coast to Coast AM. Next hour, split show. Lauren Weinstein joins us as we talk about the internet and privacy issues right here on Coast to Coast AM.